4 years ago, Shooter Hunt, illusionist David Blaine soared 5 miles above the Arizona desert holding 52 balloons. And yet, most amazingly, that feat didn't come close to the amount of helium that we're seeing in the latest draft for Shooter. You're allowed to laugh because I went a long way for that one. This is Coffee and Curveballs, Cory McCartney, and the aforementioned Shooter Hunt. And we'll get into those helium guys in a second, Shooter, because the DraftHQ Top 200 dropped this week, and it continues to be led by Florida two-way beast Jack Hecleone.
Yeah, I think the college class is continuing to show itself. Hagen Smith's off to a great start. Chase Burns obviously striking out guys at a rate that's even better than Paul Skeens at this point. But a lot of talent. It's early on in the spring. We had to provide this nice update, preseason stuff, about 3 or 4 weeks of gameplay. And now we got a new top 200.
You got a list of helium guys, and the state of Texas has got something to say within the prep ranks. Texas signee Theo Gillen, Texas A&M bound Wyatt Sanford, Dallas Baptist recruit Dason Hill. These guys are all making a splash.
Yeah, and especially a lot of these warm weather states, obviously the helium's coming from there as they have been playing earlier on. But Theo Gillen's a guy who was top 10 in the class for 2, 3 years, just explosive athleticism, left-handed hitter, probably more of an outfielder. We list him more of a center fielder. He's playing infield right now at Westlake. But that's how good of an athlete he is. But he can really swing the bat. That's going to be the thing that carries him. Chance for plus power. The barrel awareness is clearly there with the barrel accuracy. Kind of had some freak injuries over the last couple of years, which derailed him on the national scene. But he is absolutely exploded. Wyatt Sanford, can't say enough. He's been a favorite since he was freshman in high school. Uber athletic, has chance to have plus speed, can really defend. He's going to stick at shortstop, great arm across. What has gotten better for him this spring is the fact that he added about 15 to 20 pounds of muscle. So all that projection that guys were looking for, hoping for the next 3 or 4 years, it's kind of come quicker, which has relieved some of the chances to make those mistakes. But the power's starting to show. I think he's going to have a chance to really hit, plays hard. But the fact that he sticks at shortstop and has that plus speed, that's five-tool potential. And then you talked about Hill, a guy who was at our All-American game, can really spin it. What has happened to him? All of a sudden, he's throwing 96, 97 miles an hour from the left side, and he can really spin it. This is a class that's really looking for some arms to separate themselves. Shoot, you always want to go to Texas because they're always starting to throw harder down there.
Well, meanwhile, Brace Rayner, who you had eyes on last week, continues to be the top prep player on the board. How are you seeing him, another Longhorns recruit, by the way, live up to the pressure and handle the attention?
Well, I just talked about Sanford at shortstop, and throughout the summer with Bryce Rayner, who's been our #1 guy now for 3+ years, I believe. He separated himself as a shortstop. He had played some third base. He's athletic enough to go to center field, and then he's mixed in with all these top name shortstops. This is the best guy there. It's easy. It's kind of a Corey Seager type frame, square shouldered, about 6'3", 6'4". Everything comes easy, almost to the point of looking nonchalant out there, but he's not. It's just so graceful. Up to 96, 97 on the bump, which he does even without probably much attention spent on the pitching side of things, because it's a bat first, left-handed hitter. He's going to hit for power, but he's going to have a chance to stick at shortstop, which is the most important thing. And there's an it factor to everything that he does. He slows the game down really well, handles the pressures that are exuded to a guy who's the #1 player in the class with grace. And he's facing 90+ arms every time out. That's something that is helpful in scouting Harvard Westlake, is the fact that he faces a premium guy who's looking to throw his nastiest stuff with every at bat that he's at the plate. And it's only going to continue. I think he's got even more upside on the way, and teams are really going to be considering him as a top 10 pick come July.
How about Cash Mayfield, someone that we saw at Super 60? He was reaching the mid-90s there. I know that he blew you away with the composure. The Oklahoma State signee has found himself now within the top 30.
Yeah, a lot of time we leave the Super 60, guys are geeked up. They see a little bump there. You got close to 200 MLB scouts right on top of you. So we let this spring kind of ease in. Is it going to be the same that we saw at the Super 60? Well, Cash is not only the same, he's gone beyond what we saw at the Super 60. Up to 96, still the easy stuff. The fastball command is what stands out. The changeup's going to be his best secondary, chance to be a plus pitch. Slider, more of an average offering right now, chance to make some jumps. But that composure that you just talked about there, Cory, the fact that he pounds his zone, can really get in on right-handed hitters, and it comes so easy. Man, all those guys who didn't really get a chance to see him this this summer where he had thrown so many innings last spring are getting a chance to play catch up. And everybody's getting very excited about Cash Mayfield, who really exploded at the Super 60.
When we did a State of the Nation check-in with Austin Sharp from Prep Baseball Alabama, we keyed in on Connor Gatwood. If you haven't gone back and checked that episode, I urge you to go do so. An Auburn recruit, future games alum, inching toward triple digits, and he's making Baker High School a must for the scouting community.
Yeah, and you look at the frame, just how easy the velocity comes. It's a loose arm stroke. He almost looks like he's going to swallow the hitter. That's how big he is on the bump. And it might be the most explosive fastball in this class. He's going to collect those whiffs in the zone, which is something that's going to be paid for. What's helped him to get this helium is that the slider has really ticked up. It's gotten better. It's showing that upward trend where, hey, we get this into his system as a chance to develop. We know what the fastball is going to be. We know where he stands with the delivery, the athleticism. But if that secondary stuff can continue to creep up, I wouldn't be surprised to start hearing his name in that 25 to 30, definitely in that supplemental range as a high school right-hander.
There are 14 new high school players within the top 200. None of them, Shooter, though, coming higher than Manny Marin, the Tennessee recruit out of Westminster Christian in Florida. Why is he making waves?
I think Manny, just the production that he's had over the last 4 years, it's almost become the expectation because of how easy it comes to him. What he showed at the Florida preseason kickoff, just the grace and especially the moxie and confidence. I mean, at shortstop, he might be the top guy. I mean, he would challenge a guy like Bryce Rayner just because the glove instinct is so innate, and the fact that he finds the right spot on the glove at all times, strong arm across. The frame has gotten a bit stronger, which is shown from the right side with some power production, but he's able to spray the ball all around from the right side. I think he's got some day one potential. He's a little bit older for the class, which I don't think will be a huge issue in this year where there's not quite as many premium upside shortstops and premium position guys, but he's done nothing but excelled, especially early on in the spring.
Three more new names to the draft board to close as we move on, and that's Titus Sissel, Josh Rittenauer, and Alex Hernandez. Let's start off with Sissel, a Super 60 attendee switch hitter who we both loved, and a guy that can just flat out fly.
Yeah, and he had some opening day hits in what sounded like 27-degree temperatures. So all you Southern guys in your nice 70 degrees, a little sweatshirt and 60 degrees, those guys in Missouri were playing at 27. But switch hitter, explosive athlete, he tested off the charts, which was key at the Super 60. Kind of reminds me of a Super 60 participant last year, Naz Zanatel, just with regards to the testing and just how off the charts he was with some of that stuff. Left-handed swings there. I think he probably is another guy who's going to shift similar to Theo Gillen to the outfield, but he's a 6'5" runner. He can go to center field, plays hard at all times. He's got a chip on his shoulder, looking to prove to everybody that he is the best. So I'm a big fan of Sissel. We'll see what more he has to bring this spring.
By the way, Shooter, no one named Titus has ever been drafted since the MLB draft started in 1965. So Sissel is the hope for all the Tituses out there. Finally, an explosive righty, a Rittenauer out of A3 Academy, and another righty, one with an exciting two-way potential in Georgia Tech recruit Alex Hernandez.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at the draft, you got to immediately go to the Sunshine State. What do we have in Florida? Who are we finding? Who's buzzing right now? There's a lot of names that are catching some helium right now, but Josh Rittenauer was one of the first guys to come out of the gate. It was up to 97 back in January. Now, it's a long spring. He's going to have to continue to hold that, but definitely the scouting community has caught notice of a guy who has an explosive fastball, plays to the upper quadrants of the zone, two secondaries, starter potential. It's a frame that's easy to dream on, athletic out there. But I mean, shoot, seems like everybody's throwing in the mid-90s right now, but it comes easy to Rittenauer. And then Alex Hernandez, guy in your backyard there in Georgia, who I was blown away with. Obviously, the athleticism, about 6'2", 200. There's strength in the frame. It kind of looks like a high school wide receiver, linebacker out on the bump. And it's low 90s. Really solid arm that would be followed as a draft guy, but I do think that the bat has a chance to be what propels him forward with regards to this year's draft. There's power, 106, 107 off the bat to all fields. And as much as the mound stuff was the initial look for everybody, I think the bats continue to push forward, has a chance to really shine at third base and be a right-handed hitter with some power.
Well, the road to the draft is just getting started, and you know that we will proceed to give you what you need here on Coffee and Curveballs. So stick around. So much more on the March to Fort Worth and the MLB draft. Until next time, I'm Cory McCartney, that's Shooter Hunt, and we'll see you at the Diamond.